Okay, so round 2. All right, round 2. Question number 2. All right, which? I like this one too. Yeah, which is the greatest singular superpower? Okay, and you can refer to its existence so that we know you didn't make it up. But for the most part,
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually do that.
Where does this guy get off on this resurrection?
I ain't never heard of no nary resurrection. I don't know nothing about them. I apologize for anybody that
Aaron, you got a good one.
Watching this video. I apologize.
Yes.
We're gonna start with Joshua. We're gonna come down to Aaron, and we're gonna go back to Michael. Okay. So when the clock starts, go ahead, Joshua.
Sweet. Okay. So I picked super intelligence for my. I think it's greatest superpower. Yeah. Superpower. Yeah.
Greatest singular superpower.
Super intelligence, greatest superhero.
I picked super intelligence because I feel like whenever it whenever it shows up in a story, I picked All-Star Superman as an example, but another example is other things. Whenever it shows up, they end up doing they end up doing a lot of really cool things.
Okay.
Like building robots, or solving diseases, or just being a...
This is
amazing. Josh, get this point out.
Or just being a dick in their social circle. So
super intelligence helps with
I like super intelligence because it affects all things to an insane degree, and it does that well.
Thank you very much. Well said. All right. So,
I picked time travel / time manipulation because that is, without that power, we wouldn't have so many complex stories that we have today, and that power is actually behind a lot of the paradoxes that we have. Whether or not the paradox gets canceled out or not, it's behind one of the many paradoxes that we have in comics today.
Could you explain what you mean by time travel / manipulation?
It's like, I don't want to go into my full example I had for my argument, but it's like how I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, it's a good one. About how like the Flash could go back in time and change something, even though it might affect the current timeline, whether in a positive or negative way.
So all elements pertaining to time travel. Yeah. And thereof. Okay.
Time in general.
Yeah, basically.
Alright, mine's was resurrection. I think it's a really cool power in particular because a character of a great conflict, controversy century, he always comes back a little different each time, and I like that. Sentry, he's schizophrenic crazy, but, but all these characters, all different. Each character that has resurrection is different, so every time they come back, it's always some cool spin to the story. And again, for me, this is all about entertaining story. How entertaining could the story be if this character were to come back at this time where all these cool things are happening? So that's why I chose resurrection. Because you could always have a different and more entertaining story each time, especially when a certain character is involved. But yeah, I guess who's gonna start off?
I just dropped the gun.
Alright, yeah,
what was that?
He's good at that. Whatever it is, he's good at that.
Now, starting off with your resurrection, one of the many things about resurrection that I don't like is that it's either the character is incredibly overpowered, like Sentry. He has a lot of powers. And
Eternal Warrior is just a dude with an axe.
Yeah, I'm not getting Eternal Warrior.
He's very skilled with that axe.
Yeah, but like someone like Sentry or even Dr. Manhattan, they're incredibly powered, and it's either they have to get kicked out of the story because of how overpowered they are, or they're put in a non-canon story. And then you have the resurrection in the type of way like Vandal Savage, where the only really interesting about them is that they've been living so long that they want to die.
Well, so it's not resurrection, he's immortal.
Yeah, but in some cases he does get resurrected back. Or like, yeah. And with Eternal Warrior, since he does have resurrection, again, he's kind of putting a story with himself, like a non-canon story. So that way, if you put him in a story with all these other heroes, he would kind of be boring. And he would just be there for probably one issue or so, and then he would have to go somewhere else. So that
he was in Book of Death for 4, so...
Oh, okay, yeah. And then with super intelligence, it gets incredibly boring and incredibly nerdy at points, where even like super nerds and quantum physicists, when they're reading it, they get bored. And with super intelligence, it kind of begs the question: how do you even lose? Like in All-Star Superman, you said that
just to rebuttal you, we're arguing what's the greatest singular superpower,
not the characters,
right? So the fact that you're asking the question, how do you lose? That's really awesome. How do you lose?
Yeah, I know. I'll get it. Yeah, and the thing. Write that down. Yeah. The thing with super intelligence is that there's a lot of flaws in it, and it's never really used.
You really dug your own grave on that one. Oh god.
And I just want to finish with mine. Time travel manipulation. It's so beautiful because one of the Flash's greatest enemies, I forgot which Reverse Flash it was. I think
all
it
of
was,
them.
No, I think it was Hunter Zellman. He didn't have super speed at all. He actually just had time manipulation, and that was actually one of the reasons why he caused, I think it was Barry's wife to miscarriage.
Wally.
Oh, Wally's wife. Oh, okay, yeah, same person. Yeah, well, he caused his wife to miscarriage.
You're really good at this.
And even people like I think his name is Cronus in the DC universe. He could go back in time and he could change time, but he just watches it instead. And the only time he actually does try and change time is when something really bad is about to happen. Even the whole premise of the DC show Legends of Tomorrow, the whole thing about them is going back in time and changing it because something bad is about to happen. And I can't really see super intelligence or resurrection.
Okay, rebuttal.
Yeah, it's how you've been running off for way too long.
Time travel manipulation. I remember that one of your reasons for why it's really cool is because it causes a lot of reboots and it does all this crazy stuff, or like it's done a lot.
That's not a good reason.
And done a lot of, and that's my thing. It's like you're one of.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I messed up on that, but like it's done a lot to like time streams, and it generally has a very big effect on something when they try to do it. And like the reason why I don't think that would be the greatest superpower is because of that. Is because it's so you can fuck up and like everything just kind of becomes much.
If you're not,
you know, and that's why it's because like if you're not incredibly skilled at what you're doing,
you're gonna mess something up.
Thank you. And key point.
We're on the same side here in regards to this.
Key point. Barry Allen. A lot of his stories are him messing up, and then him going into melancholy for like 20 issues before he figures it out.
So I register the adverse effects of the time travel. So let's get back into why you guys are better. So that
so the reason why I feel like super intelligence is better is because basically if you have super intelligence, right, there's not really much you can mess up on except like if you take your own character into persuasion. Like for example, you can have super intelligence and you can say budget really well. Save $20 on groceries every week. Awesome. Or if you're an ass, you can try to reverse engineer a monkey and cause a monster. You have to go pretty far to cause any adverse reactions, events. So the reason why I feel that that's the greatest power is because you can do insane things with it. Like again, as I said before, you can be the smartest guy in your friend group. You can be a president. You can be an evil scientist. Whatever.
All right.
Super intelligent.
I feel your point wrapping up. The reason why I feel Resurrection is the dopest power is because one of my favorite characters, like Sentry, it's always this momentous occasion when he comes back. Because like he may be overpowered, but that's the point of his character. When he comes back, it's always this oh my god moment. You pay attention to the story because he's an integral character.
But quick question: if you have Resurrection, if that's your power, and like you're known for it. Like besides people like Sentry, why would that always be some massive thing? Would it just be like, oh, you're back?
No, because there's always a point to it. Like, case in point, Resurrection Man. Every time he comes back, he gets a different power. And again, that's really cool. But
that's a secondary power added onto Resurrection.
No, that's the point of his resurrection. His point of his resurrection is to get another power.
But Resurrection specifically. Like, just coming back.
Just coming back? I mean, his name is Resurrection Man.
True.
But anyway, like I was saying, every time a character comes back, it's like this momentous occasion, and it's really awesome. And case in point, Eternal Warrior, he's really dope because his fight is overall to make the world a better place, just straight up. And he always dies before that happens. And since he's just a regular guy, not some overpowered supreme being, that's why it's a because how many people in the world are trying, you know, to make it work?
Quick rebuttal. What I would say against the whole resurrection thing is because I feel like when they come back, right? The big thing isn't that they've come back. It's not resurrection specifically. It's what they do. So Eternal Warrior, when he comes back, it's like, oh my god, Eternal Warrior, because he resurrects himself, but he's also really skilled at a lot of stuff. And Resurrection Man, I think you said he gets a different power. Yeah. So, you know, the whole thing, it's not specifically his resurrection, it's getting the new power. And Sentry is Sentry, so yeah, it would be a thing. But Resurrection specifically, the reason why I feel that's not the greatest power is because if you only had Resurrection, you're just back again. Your power is that you're not in the grave. But, you know, it would just be like, oh, Giant's back.
But again, I could say the same thing about your super intelligence. What are you going to do with that?
Solve cancer?
If you want to.
Save $20 on groceries all the time, and then go and take a trip to Maui.
If you want to. Can I just go real quick?
Yeah, sure, you got 15 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to point out that, like, I'm sorry, not trying to be rude here, but Eternal Warrior is not sounding that great. Your movie,
what does that have to do with anything?
Your movie All-Star Superman is complete crap. I have a movie.
He just likes
with
the
100% on to me. I just want to say that.
I'm just like, what is that?
Salty! It's like, let me get my points in real quick.
You suck, you suck, you suck.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on winning, but I'm going to take as much punches as I can.
Alright. Yeah, so, I got 2 points. I kind of got 2.5. One, the Vandal Savage Resurrection thing.
Yeah.
He's strictly immortal. They've given,
that's what I thought.
They've given conditions to his immortality. Once or twice, I guess, to, like, eat one of his children. Yeah. That was a weird arc, but they did that. He's come back from the dead once. He's been resurrected once, but that's not his power. I wouldn't... Defying Vandal Savage's resurrection would be wrong. The other thing is you mentioned Kronos, saying that he sits back and watches the timeline.
Yo, he is
While that is kind of the way he's being portrayed on television, the character in the comics is legitimately a supervillain. His whole thing is he goes back in time to try to steal things, and admittedly he was a character that was more popular in the 40s and 50s, but he would like go back in time and try to steal a thing and then still get stopped because his only shtick was that he could go back in time. It wasn't that he could go back, like he had a gadget to do it.
Did he go forward?
But he could have.
Just wait.
He didn't often, but he was legitimately a villain. He didn't use his powers apathetically.
Oh, so and you have a well, those are two.
That was 2, and then the last one was just.
It had to do with Resurrection Man?
No.
Okay.
No, although I do kind of side. It's never mind. It'll affect decision making. I don't want to say it.
Right.
But when Joshua said, he said something about your time travel point though, about how it has an effect on the present that's not exactly good. You started to try to stop him and say he didn't say that.
No,
but
he did. I thought I was tripping, so he did say that.
He did. As part of his opening
thank you. So I thought I fucked up.
All right, well, thank you for that. So, all right,
I'm not planning on winning today. I'm just here to kill time.
Here's what happened.
Man.
So, okay, I think like the same thing. I think this is like taking everyone out of their comfort zone to an extent, because I think what happened with a lot of the for this question kind of happened in the last question too, where which is the greatest singular superpower. Remember when I said,
philosophical thing?
Not so much the philosophical thing, but more reference to characters with said ability. Because one of the things that you were making
kind of hard not to, man.
I feel you, but I feel what happened was like kind of like you were making a point about how I forget which one it was. Was it Resurrection Man?
Resurrection Man comes back.
Yeah, it comes up with different powers. Right. And that was the thing. You didn't argue about resurrection itself. You argued about characters who have resurrection ability, but not about the power itself of resurrection. Okay. So it's like, you know, one thing, I was waiting for you to say it, I'm like, you come back from the dead. Like, drops mic. Like, being, I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's obviously, you know, within the power itself.
Right,
but what makes it the greatest singular superpower is that you do not die. Yeah. Like, you are now...
But I didn't say that, so L to the chest.
Correct.
I wouldn't even agree with what you said, because the thing is that you do die, you come back.
Yeah, I mean,
So you gotta deal with the pain of death.
You die, you come back,
That's
you defy death.
That's kind of why
Because
I didn't
even
want
so,
to, because
even-
I didn't want to get hit with
You'd
that.
eventually go crazy, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, how often are you going to die? The fact is, when you do die, you come back to life. And if you choose resurrection as the greatest singular superpower, the argument revolving around resurrection itself is what I was looking for.
You could have fought the whole like classical front where it's like that's the biggest thing.
In regards to time travel manipulation, like obviously the power set is really cool, but they both kind of double teamed you with the whole, adverse effects to the timeline. I was hoping that you were going to make more of an argument in terms of like Hunter Zolomon's ability to manipulate time surrounding him, which gives it the idea of having super speed. So it's like kind of like a twofer.
I thought he was going to bring that up too.
I gave up. Like,
even with manipulation, I was actually, I didn't know if anybody watched Heroes, but I thought you might have mentioned something about how like he was able to freeze time or something like that. Like once you enter the realm of time travel manipulation,
I gave up.
Okay, to be fair, Hero in the show also had teleportation, and I wouldn't lump that in necessarily with time.
I mean,
Not
but
time
still,
travel, to be able to
freezing
stop
time.
time.
Yeah.
It's time manipulation. That's the thing I would have mentioned.
Yeah,
also.
you should have mentioned
Whereas,
that.
whereas Joshua, what Joshua did, wow. Can we just take a second to appreciate that? Actually, wow, that was okay.
Oh, God.
So what happens is, what you ended up saying about super intelligence, and obviously that point about how do you lose, you went more into the real world application, which was really what that question was surrounding more of, because the greatest singular superpower is more than just whatever super character has that. There's a lot of characters with whatever superpowers, but and they'll do whatever they might want to do with it. But what makes this the most? I mean, personally, I disagree with all the choices. But I like the. I mean, these are awesome choices.
View.
Yes, absolutely, as an objective view. But that's really the way you want to look at it.
Like slowly.
No, I don't think these are bad. I'm just saying, like, in terms of like what makes it the single greatest, and I feel like you guys were mentioning more of like how it affects a particular character and what makes them so great, whereas you gave some real world application purposes as to what made it great. So once again, I give the point to Josh for that.